Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on Arrow Season 5. So this is going to be my review for episode 16, otherwise entitled Checkmate, and obviously before we go ahead there will be spoilers within this video, so if you have not seen the episode, please go watch it because this episode answered a decent amount of questions but also asked a couple more to go on with the rest of the season, so be sure to watch the episode before we continue on with this video. So obviously last episode we saw it revealed that Prometheus was in fact Adrian Chase, the district attorney of Star City that's been working with Oliver the whole season basically, and it's really the first time we've seen someone within Oliver's inner circle turn out to be a traitor and a villain. You could argue Artemis, like I said last week, but she was really there for like hardly any time. So yeah, it's hard to count her. And then that episode ended off with Adrian approaching Susan, which yeah, you got a hint that Susan was in some trouble, and that definitely continued on into this episode. The only thing I had a big issue with in this episode, actually I wouldn't even argue a big issue, but it was like okay, it would have been nice if they explained it or set it up last episode. But Oliver goes to this, like the mysterious monastery to meet Talia al Ghul, which you would have to think is in like Asia somewhere most likely, and or somewhere like that. And it would have been nice if they sort of said last episode that he was going to do that, but whatever. Now we knew that Talia had trained Prometheus because earlier this season Oliver had seen a move that Talia had taught Oliver, so Oliver's like, okay, connect the dots, Prometheus was taught by Talia. But we find out that she really trained Prometheus as sort of like revenge for Oliver killing her father, Ra's al Ghul, because she'd never revealed to Oliver that her last name was Al Ghul. She'd only been known as Talia to him. We knew that she was Talia al Ghul, but Ollie didn't, so it finally gets revealed to him and he's like, oh shit. But she actually reveals to Oliver that his real name is Adrian Chase. Prometheus is Adrian Chase, which really kicks off the beginning of this episode. And Adrian knew that Oliver was going to be finding out. We obviously did have Felicity and some more Helix stuff. It is important to have this season. I am not minding this storyline with Felicity. I think it's actually a very suitable storyline. In past seasons, I've really struggled with the Felicity character and what storylines to go down that aren't the, oh, I need to be with Oliver in a romantic relationship. They really struggle with her character, and I think they're actually hitting it pretty well. You could argue, okay, some bits don't work, but I think for the most part, its Helix storyline with Felicity is going pretty strong, and it's relating to the rest of the season, like finding a different information that's needed. So it works out. I am very interested to see what trouble Felicity gets into, because basically everything she's doing is illegal, and then maybe if she doesn't do everything that that Helix wants her to, they might backstab her and, you know, get her in trouble with the feds or something like that. So Felicity might have to watch herself, but it actually is a very important storyline for the season in regards to it all, like tying everything together in regards to getting information and stuff like that. Now I love the initial confrontation in this episode, not when they went to the board meeting, but out in the car park between Adrian and the Green Arrow, because Ollie was in the Green Arrow stuff. It was just really tense, and you could just see like what a chameleon that Adrian Chase was, or Prometheus. I should just be calling him Prometheus, shouldn't I? That yeah, what a chameleon that Prometheus is, and the act that he was putting on. The actor, who is Josh Segarra, I think that's his name, really top-notch job. He's done really well this season. It's going to be sad to see him go because I don't think we're going to be keeping Prometheus parts this season, but he's done a really good job. Like, he even calls him Ollie just to get under Oliver's skin even more, because only a couple people call Oliver Ollie. Like, I think Tommy, Laurel, Thea, and that's about it. They're the only ones that call him Ollie. So, yeah, getting under Ollie's skin right there. And speaking of Prometheus, I thought it was just like a maniacal and insane that he just kept going to work as normal, interacting with people that he knew that he was Prometheus. Just walking down the street like, oh, yeah, just, how you going? Oh, would you like a cup of coffee? I'm just going to the break room. Just interacting with them as if it was just a normal day. It was insane, but so good. I love how they've done this with the Prometheus character. Like, he could have easily run off and just been like, oh, sprint, got to do something else, let's go into hiding. But he's doing the complete opposite. He's just staying out in plain sight, you know, going to work as normal. So good, and I'm loving it. But one of the big reveals, and I guess people could argue it's a bit disappointing, but I could sort of see it coming. I think even if you go back to one of my, I think it's my trailer breakdown for this episode, even my review for last episode, I was like, is he actually called Adrian Chase? And we actually find out that Adrian Chase is a fake name. It's an alias, and his real name is actually Simon Morrison. So Simon Morrison is Prometheus. Now, I'm assuming that whole Adrian Chase name thing will get, you know, stretched out in the next couple of episodes, because if you know, Adrian Chase is meant to be Vigilante in the comics, so we know Vigilante's still out there, so the real Adrian Chase could still be Vigilante, but they really don't touch on that in this episode. So hopefully in the next couple of episodes they do touch on that and it gets sorted out. I don't know if I was the only one that caught this, but Anatoly makes a little reference to Batman in the flashbacks when Oliver is talking about hiding his darkness, and Anatoly says, oh, it's like a bat or something like that. You know, a little reference to Batman. I don't know if anyone else caught it. Thought it was pretty neat. The flashbacks as a whole were decent. I did like the fight in like the hockey rink arena thing. Pretty cool. Now, I don't think I was the only one that was surprised when like Oliver went to Captain Pike and gave him that information. I was like, surely Prometheus knows that this is going down. Like, Prometheus has got eyes everywhere. He knows everything that's going on. Surely he's going to know that Captain Pike has got this information. And of course, he's like attacked similar to like episode 1. Remember that like random cop was killed by Prometheus? Sort of similar to that, but with a Prometheus most likely impersonating a homeless dude or like a drunk and just stabbing him. It looked like he got stabbed with like a Bowie knife. It was a pretty big knife, so pretty brutal. But that scene with Oliver and Prometheus in Captain Pike's hospital room was really tense, and I loved how Prometheus brought up how Oliver is essentially killing the people around him. Like, he brings up like Moira, Tommy, Laurel, Shadow. Like, he knows about Shadow, sorry. Like, what doesn't this dude know? It's insane. Like, people might say, okay, that's a plot hole. How the hell is he meant to know about all this? But that just shows you how much Prometheus has studied Oliver. He just knows so much about him, and it really means that Oliver really can't take too much of an advantage over Prometheus. He can't really take a step forward because Prometheus knows so much about him. It's almost as if he knows what he's going to do. And as Prometheus says, I'm 10 steps ahead of you, and you don't even know what game we're playing. It's insane. It's actually very entertaining. I had some worries about this episode. I was like, okay, this could be the make or break, and I think they did a really good job, but I'll talk about more of that at the end. Now, obviously, when they were going to get Susan, and they were talking about, okay, we know one person that can get to Adrian, that's like sort of his weakness. I was like, okay, it's going to be his wife, isn't it? It's going to be his wife, because they'd shown his wife earlier in the episode, and I was like, don't bring his wife, because it's not going to end good, because she didn't know that it was Prometheus. I could just assume that they were going to do that. I wasn't really surprised that he killed his own wife, but I was like, holy crap, how could you two not see this? This dude's insane. This dude's insane, as if he was not going to kill his own wife. One thing that I wasn't expecting, and I was like, oh crap, because Adrian just continued on being, just continued on being Adrian in public. He blamed the Green Arrow for the attack. So Green Arrow's got another thing against his name, and it's the death of the district attorney's wife. That's insane, because obviously earlier in the episode, they had said that the Green Arrow had gone into the district attorney's house. So it almost seems like a follow-up attack. So Prometheus is lining up these dominoes, and they are going down one by one by one, and the Green Arrow is just getting, his name's getting tarnished worse by the episode. So the fight between Green Arrow and Prometheus was pretty cool. I did like how Prometheus didn't wear his mask. He just had his face out in the open. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But I guess one of the big reveals is Talia coming to Star City and, saving Prometheus for the most part. And then we see Talia and Prometheus at the end with Oliver all chained up. Oliver's sort of similar to that scene from season 1 when Malcolm Merlin has Oliver, chained up and stuff like that. I think that was in like the finale or the second last episode, one of the two. But it really does open up the question, is Talia really the villain for this season? Because you could actually make some arguments. She's the one that trained Prometheus basically to go after Oliver, and it's based on revenge for Oliver killing Raish, her father. So you could make an argument that Talia is actually really the villain for this season, and Prometheus is really like her lackey, the muscle going around causing all the mayhem, setting everything up for Talia to finally get back at Oliver. I'm not going to make the claim that Talia is actually the villain, but it wouldn't be surprising, because they have done some twists and turns this season where everyone thought Adrian was a vigilante. Oh wait, no, he's Prometheus. There's all these different twists, and they could go for another one. Seeing that they did reveal the Prometheus identity fairly early, like you would think they might have done it maybe 2 or 3 episodes later, it wouldn't surprise me if they put another twist in where Talia is actually the real villain. And I might do a video over the weekend going more in depth, because I don't want to spend too much time on it in this video. But just keep that in your minds and have a think about it. Do you think that Talia could actually really be the big bad for this season, and the one actually really going after Oliver, and Prometheus is more of her muscle and the one that's just doing the majority of like the setting up for Oliver's like potential demise? But overall, I thought this episode was really entertaining. I really only had one issue, and that was basically the beginning bit where I was like, okay, they could have set up Oliver going on this trek to this monastery a bit like last episode, or just a little mention of it, and there was really no mention of it. If there was, I've completely missed it, but I'm pretty sure they didn't mention anything about it. There were a lot of tense moments, a lot of reveals, a lot of questions answered, but then a lot of more questions asked. And it's just very entertaining, to be completely honest. And I know it's probably the word of the day because I've used it so much this episode, but it was just insane. It was a complete insanity. I think Josh Segarra is doing an amazing job as Prometheus. I'm just going to call him Prometheus from now on. I'm not going to call him Simon Morrison because that is the lamest name ever. Not calling him Simon Morrison. Can't really call him Adrian Chase because it's obviously a fake name. So he is now Prometheus, but he's doing a really good job. And yeah, like you could argue maybe like the side characters like Wild Dog, Diggle, and Dinah are really not doing anything at the moment. I am liking Mr. Terrific using the T-spheres more. I think this is the first episode he actually called them T-spheres as well. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully they don't overuse them where it's like, okay, now we've got them. They're used for everything. Don't overdo it, otherwise you get sort of bored of them. So hopefully they calm down on that a bit because they used them like 2 or 3 times this episode after last episode used them a decent amount as well. So if they calm down on that a bit, that'd be good. But I really enjoyed this episode. I don't think it's the best episode of the season. I think it was the most consistently enjoyable episode of the season because nothing really boring happened apart from maybe like one of the flashback scenes. I was like, yeah, this flashback scene's sort of boring. Can we sort of get out of it? But apart from that, really, really solid. I really, really enjoyed it. But thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like on it. Let me know in the comment section down below what was your favorite part of the episode. Do you think that Talia could actually be like really the villain for this season, and Prometheus is sort of like the cover and the one really just messing with Ollie to set up for Talia's entry? Because Talia's in there now, so I wonder if they're going to keep her around and she's actually the villain. Just let me know what you think about that in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys, and goodbye.